Let's start at the beginning. The powers that control the world have been endeavoring to find a way to control the world's population. In order to do this, their plan has been to establish a control grid that is run by emerging technologies, that it covers the entire world and connects every human body as a node on the network of that grid. The control grid they have established is called the Global Information Grid, which is a worldwide network of information transmission and associated processes, which includes all the infrastructure, which is your communications networks, electronics, software, and all databases in the world. It is on this same grid that they operate something called the Lethal Autonomous Weapons System, which is a system of weapons that are controlled remotely by people sitting behind computer screens, and sometimes they are even controlled by artificial intelligence. Included in these weapons are drones, killer robots, and electronic microwave weapons or directed energy weapons. These weapons are capable of and are in use right now not only to kill people, but also to control people's movements, influence their thoughts and behaviors, create various diseases in selected areas of society, control politics, control economies, and even control the weather and natural disasters. The way they connect every person's body is through transhumanism, which is essentially merging humans with machines. Transhumanism is being carried out right now on an unsuspecting public through various forms of nanotechnology. They have put this technology inside of people's bodies that hooks people up to the control grid. Now humans and their surrounding environments can be tracked, traced, influenced, controlled. This control grid overrides and violates every human right, every law, and every local government and constitution of every country in the world. It is what I believe the Bible refers to as the beast in the end times. If you were the ruling elite and you wanted to control people, you can't just murder them all at once or pack them away in a physical prison building. There would be too much conflict and your plan wouldn't work. So instead, you turn the society into an invisible prison and make it so people don't realize that they're in prison. And at the same time, you benefit from creating the prison by getting rich off of their labor, especially if you control the fiat. So, you can create money out of nothing, and then you can create the invisible prison where you control the population remotely. And this is what the control grid is. It's an invisible prison. People are now cattle, and all are being tracked and traced and manipulated or murdered with energy weapon technology. And they don't even know that they're in a prison grid. And they don't know that their bodies are hooked up to this grid. And they don't know that the illness, death, and other things that are happening are coming from invisible weapons that are being used on them. The reason why people don't know is because the governments that have been conspiring to do this have been launching massive psychological operations and propaganda campaigns using Tavistock brainwashing methods through controlled media, both mainstream and alternative. This has been going on to deceive the public and divert attention away from the prison that's being built around them and all the technology development that's being done to make the grid operate. This method is a military term called mosaic warfare, also known as net-centric warfare, and it's being carried out on the population right now. Now let me do my best to describe the layers of this control grid and how it works. We will start from the outer walls of the prison and work our way in. Surrounding the planet are satellites. Tens of thousands of them have just been launched into space starting in 2015 through 2017. A lot went up in 2017. That was on purpose. These are satellites of all different sizes, and most of them are in low Earth orbit. The satellites handle the bandwidth needed to do this surveillance on large populations, and all of this traffic is routed to all the 5G towers that were quickly put up at the same time. The satellites can also be connected directly to a person or a cell phone. From here, the geographical areas of the world have been sectioned off into what are called kill boxes. This is a military term that is defined as a three-dimensional target area defined to facilitate the integration of coordinated joint weapons fire. A city or town could be a kill box, or a building could be a kill box inside of a kill box, or your home could be a kill box on the control grid. The network then routes from the satellites or towers to your killbox zone, through all your local area networks, through your appliances in your house, your cell phone, etc. Then it routes into your body through the wireless body area network, which is a network setup made of various forms of nanotech, such as biosensors, that have been put inside of your body without your knowledge or consent. Data is sent from the cloud, which is a decentralized network of computers all around the world through satellites and networks into your body, which includes your mind, as your brain and its chemistry and all your behaviors are part of your body. And in return, data is sent from your body through these networks back to the cloud. The worst part of this is, not only is all of your physical and mental vital signs surveilled, but this technology can also write commands to your body, to your mind, and to society as a whole. There are codes for specific diseases that can be sent out onto this grid. I believe that there is a specific death algorithm that schedules people targeted for destruction based on various qualifiers set up by those who created this system. Maybe you're about to start collecting your pension, or maybe you want to have too many kids, or maybe you're a Democrat, or a Republican, or maybe you're a Jew, or a Muslim, or Christian. Whatever they don't want in their new society of serfs could be programmed into their killbox directive. Then randomly in the same evening, scattered throughout various locations so it doesn't seem too suspicious, 1,000 people get targeted in their beds and die suddenly, programmed over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Those numbers add up, and those that are left are controlled at the push of a button, while their energy is harvested and used to power the very technology that is their prison. There has been a merger in technologies and the medical field so that when you took the injection, you took all the tracking and tracing devices with it in the form of nanotechnology, such as biosensors and graphene oxide, amongst many other things that they put in those shots. The nanotech is also activated and controlled through EMF, and it uses your body's own electricity to power itself. The network that connects the nanotechnology inside of human bodies to the internet control grid is called the Wireless Body Area Network. And even though you didn't know that you had tech inside of you that was connecting your body to the cloud, the IEEE has written standards for this called 802.15 and a series after that. Your body is naturally electrical. Your heart is electrical. Your brain is electrical. And you have a natural electric field around your body called the biofield. All humans were born with one. It is the way God made us. Knowledge of this field was taken away from humanity through the Flexner Report in 1910. This was the same time and same event where all natural healing methods were replaced with the cut, burn, and poison methods of the satanic medical industry created by John Rockefeller. The same medical industry that would be used to control the world through the COVID pandemic and murder our loved ones in the hospital killing fields. So not only did this industry take away your basic knowledge of your natural biofield, but the emerging technology industry has spent decades hijacking humans' biofields with wireless technology, the result of which is sickness, disease, and death. The last 4 years of COVID have been a massive project to get everyone tracked and traced in their upgraded system. While this technology has been in development for decades, it wasn't working well enough. They needed to upgrade the system to go from dial-up to broadband on the entire network. In 2017, the infrastructure for the upgraded system was laid out, and all the emergent technology was put into place. The satellites went up at this time. The towers went up. And a lot of small nanomaterials known as metamaterials were put into place. No one even noticed in the real world, but in the industry, everyone knew about it. And hundreds of thousands of papers and technology patents were created around this new grid infrastructure. It was called the cyber-physical backbone, and it's what they considered to be the launch of the fourth industrial revolution. And then once they had their new network infrastructure in place, it was time to test the ability to transmit signals over the network. They needed to increase the signal, so they graphinated the entire population through the COVID injections. The graphene was the load balancing on the new upgraded system. Now their upgrade is complete, and there are all sorts of things that they can do to people. And everyone's acting like everything's just fine. And we've all gone back to normal. I've heard ridiculous rumors and psyops that say, they're going to turn it off. Are you serious? Do you realize how much time, energy, resources, and market share have been invested in this industry? It's a $1 trillion industry. There are millions of scientists and engineers all over the world with high-paying jobs employed in this industry right now. This is what so many kids are going to college for. It's two of the biggest and most corrupt industries merged, big pharma and communications. And you think that they're going to shut it off? What people don't realize is just how much control they have now over the population. They have been doing a lot of very public things to show you what they plan on doing with all that control. There's a Pentagon directive updated in January of 2023, DoD Directive 3000.09, which means all systems are now go on the autonomous weapons system, which will be used on the public. The President's 2023 budget requests nearly $2 billion for the National Nanotechnology Initiative, the largest ever request since its inception. You might want to read that. There's some really interesting stuff in there that they plan on doing with the nanotechnology. An executive order in September of 2022 calls for advancing biotechnology and biomanufacturing innovation. This is what they're calling biodigital convergence. You might want to look into this. It's essentially the extermination of the human race. Real ID is being implemented in America right now. You won't be able to travel without it. Other countries are implementing their own digital IDs. There are 15-minute cities being built right now, and hundreds of established cities have already been turned into smart cities. They've been putting up this technology prison grid everywhere at warp speed. The new streetlights use optogenetics to control the biosensors in your body. These cities boast of streets streaming with free Wi-Fi for the public. And how exactly is that secure? And all government services centralized in a one-stop shop format. No, thank you. The list of things that they can do with technology is endless. Remember, they can not only kill people, but they can issue whatever diseases they wish. They can create pandemics. They can manipulate crowds of people to create movements, civil wars, mass murder. So how are they getting away with this? Through lying, obfuscating, gaslighting, and psyops. Let me explain further, and I'll try to make this really clear. They have used technology to create a prison system that has control over our bodies that is hooked up to an electronic warfare system. They lied about what they were doing, and they told us all of this was for our health. They are using technology to change our DNA, to control our behaviors, to make us sick, or to kill us. Well, some people started finding out that it's the technology that's causing this. They started finding some self-assembling computer components in people's blood. Human bodies started emitting Bluetooth codes. The embalmers were pulling strange structures out of deceased people's veins and arteries that were composed of electrically conductive materials used to make circuit boards. When you see people dying suddenly and it's caught on camera, this is what it looks like when technology has been put inside of humans and they're beamed with frequencies and it kills them. Then everywhere, doctors, alternative media, talking heads, lawyers, nurses, even whistleblowers were directly confronted with the evidence of this technology. So many of them claimed ignorance. They said they didn't understand technology or that they're not qualified to speak about technology. Then they picked a random biological detail, something that was very confusing to the public, shrouded in medical terminology, and decided to focus on that and only that, and ignore the technological aspects of what's happening. They used the wireless body area network in all the major hospitals. It's called the Medical Body Area Network. Everything is wireless for the most part in a hospital. A doctor or nurse can be sitting in the reception lobby and push a button on an iPad, which then administers a drug to a patient's body down the hallway wirelessly. Your body is constantly scanned, and all the biosensors in your body are being read by these machines through a software called Omnet. All this data is collected and sent to the cloud for further decision-making processes. Did you know that they have a COVID wireless body area network database? It was established during COVID to track and trace all the vitals of people's bodies gathered from their biosensors. They use something called Project Salus in order to do this, which is a Pentagon initiative to track and trace all the people on the COVID W-band. That's why in some of the 5G towers, when you open up the panel, you see they are marked with COVID written on the panel of the 5G tower. Why else would they do that? At first, it was very frustrating to people like myself and my husband, whose field is technology. We tried to get doctors to talk about the tech, and they kept playing dumb. And we thought, well, maybe they just don't know. Well, we found out that they all know, because they have to know in order to have those doctor credentials. The medical and technological fields have been merged, like for 20 years or so, right? The wireless body area network is how they are accessing biosensors inside of human bodies through a wireless grid. All of these doctors and nurses and emergency service personnel and various law enforcement and other frontline responders were the end users of the iPads that were using the wireless body area network to log into people's bodies and kill them. So they knew all about the technology, and they lied, and they obfuscated, and therefore they are complicit. So what can you do? Well, first, stop promoting PSYOPs, because that's how they were able to get all this stuff built around us without us even noticing. We were all too busy spinning in the various PSYOPs that they put out there for us to believe in. Second, stop believing liars. Call them out on it, especially these professionals from the medical industry. They all know what the wireless body area network is, and if they tell you that they don't, then they are lying. Third, fully educate yourself on the truth. Learn about emerging technologies and the trillion-dollar industry that is transhumanism and the IEEE, and of course, the wireless body area network. You'll have a lot of reading to do and a lot of unbrainwashing to do, but trust me, you'll be much better for it. And finally, you're going to need to go into survival mode. The more you educate yourself, the more you'll learn that there are things that you can do right now to protect yourself and your family. Learn about EMF and what you can do to mitigate it, because that's what they're using to control this network. Look at your surroundings with a new understanding of the grid that you are now in, and see if there are ways that you can lessen the targeting. Boost your immune system and detox regularly. And what I firmly believe in most of all is to get a close relationship with God, because that is the only way that we're going to get through this. And with that said, may God bless you and keep you in these troubling times ahead. Remember to stand on truth, and the truth shall make you free. Amen.